Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. In today's episode, we're going to be going over what I learned from the Trios Cash Cup. And with FNCS right around the corner, playing this tournament was really refreshing. Before we get into that, let's go for 2,500 supporters on code MarinTM within tomorrow's episode. We now have an amazing 2,312 users, and let's shoot for 5,000 likes. With that said, let's get into today's episode. In the first game in these Trio Cash Cups, we always go for as many kills as possible, as there is no kill cap. So what's very important before you hop into any tournament scenario is that you're fully warmed up, so that you don't throw game number one. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret, and that's the fact that the first and last game you play are the two games that matters the most for how you place on the leaderboard. Unfortunately though, I go down because of lack of materials, but we have the same mindset in game number 2 as we did in game number 1. In the first few games, when you are up against the bad players, you always want to take high ground. The reason behind why high ground is so good in these games is because it's very easy to hold, as your opponents aren't the best fighters. And additionally, you pretty much secure the win when playing high ground this season, as there are no shockwaves or rift fishes to grief you. In game number 3, we all go down because of a major lack of experience in laggy games. And guys, this is a easy fix, but one that takes a lot of work. We have to play more custom games. If you play around 3 hours of custom games every day, you will become so much better in these stacked Cash Cup lobbies, and you will unarguably start seeing results. One major factor that separates a lot of okay players from great players is their movement. And this is very visible in the way I play. I have super bad movement when fighting, making me an easy target to hit for my opponent. In order to practice this, you have to be aware of your mistake and start adapting new ways of movement when playing arena and in custom game matchmaking. In this endgame, I make one mistake that gets us all killed. And that is simply not going out to the left side and continuing my tarp right here. Instead of making that choice, I go into an opponent's tarp, which is an unnecessary risk to take, and I end up getting punished for it, and ultimately throwing our entire game because of my very own mistake. In this endgame, we hold low ground when there's only 16 players remaining in the first moving circle, and this was a big mistake. When there are as few as 16 players remaining, low ground can be very difficult to play, especially if the high ground team is good at applying pressure. When there are under 20 players remaining, I believe that going for high ground relatively early in the endgame is the play. This is because when a lot of pressure is applied from the high ground, nobody but the players up there will have mats remaining, and if we tried playing high ground ground instead of low ground this game, I believe that would have been a much better choice. Playing high ground is something that needs to be practiced, and preferably with the same people you play with in tournaments and in customs with other good players. Another reason low ground isn't the greatest when there are few players remaining is because it's incredibly difficult to get refreshed eliminations. And this means that you will run out of mats. And that unfortunately happened in this endgame, even with two great fraggers like Driven and Ambox. In game number 7, we played a super stacked game. In the second moving zone, there were 33 players remaining, and the main objective you want to have as a trio in these endgames are surviving at all costs and sticking together. This way, you will easily get at least a top 2 finish and secure a lot of points in these cash cups. Unfortunately, me, Ambox, and Driven haven't played a lot as a trio, and this clearly shows in this endgame. As a tarper, you never want to go for eliminations. And the reason behind this is that your job is not getting eliminations at all. Your job is getting your team safely into the zone. And because I went for a kill in this endgame situation, we ended up getting hard pushed from behind, and Ambox died because of my bad judgment. If I didn't go for the previous kill, we would have all three been alive, and this all simply happened because I didn't do my job. One common mistake that I make over and over again is getting greedy. In Fortnite competition, when you have a mat, there is no need to take unnecessary risks. And the play I made right here was, to put it nicely, brain dead. I had enough mats to securely tarp both me and Driven into the final zone, but because of wanting a simple elimination, I threw a potential win. In game number 8, I didn't plan out our rotate, and because of simply not taking 20 seconds to plan out our rotate for the first moving zone, we ended up completely scuffed and split, and we died as a result of it. And unfortunately, in the last game, we got contested by two teams in Lazy Lake, and we ended up fighting firstly with one of them, and we got third-partied as a result of it. This caused our tournament to be over, and we ended it by throwing our last 2 games. We ended up with a placement that we're going to improve a lot within the next week's Cash Cup. And the reason I know this is because I made this video and learned so much from all of our mistakes. I was, simply put it, an awful tarper today, and that cost us a lot of points. So I'll work on that this week in Customs. We'll VOD review and talk about our mistakes, and hopefully we can get a top 300 finish within the next week's tournament. Our main mistakes were not playing together enough as a team, we didn't make quick enough decisions, and we simply just need to put in more work together. That's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been M1K3 Editz. Stay safe and take care.